What is going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning into another edition of On the Road to Victory. I'm your host, Jimmy Smith, and I hope you're all having yourselves a great weekend. We're here. It is Saturday, a little after 3 o'clock. Going to put this bad boy out as quickly as I can. But I appreciate you all taking the time, hitting the like button, sharing, subscribing, becoming members, all the things you're doing to support the channel. Cannot thank you enough. Hope you're enjoying this draft series. We are now finishing up the offense here, the offensive line being the last. We got through quarterbacks, running backs, receivers, tight ends. Go check those videos out. Let me know how you feel about it. But we're here to talk about the O-line. We'll get into the special teams and defense heading into next week. So stay tuned for those. But you know there was a trade made last night. We talked about Dontavian Wicks. Go check that video out. But we got rid of a couple of picks here, one this year and then one in 2027. So you lose a fifth in this season's draft, and then next year you lose a sixth. But you know how we've talked about it. We'll be wheeling and dealing, moving these picks, and he's already getting started. So again, I'm excited. Stay excited. 8 picks in this draft here, 4 in the top 100. And this position that we're looking at here, I mean, anywhere you can add in the trenches. It all depends on, how much you like someone who's still available. So at the O-line, we brought back Fred Johnson. I love that. So you get your swing tackle. We don't know how many years left we got with Lane Johnson, but we drafted Hinton and Williams last year, brought in a Njoku just a couple of months ago here with the reserve future contract, and Pryor left, but that's fine. So I don't know if Williams or Hinton can be healthy and continue to develop into something. But I know the Eagles liked them enough to draft them last year. But it doesn't mean you couldn't add to that tackle room. Maybe Fred Johnson is the future after Lane is gone if he continues to get better. But maybe he's hit his ceiling. I don't know. Regardless, tackle definitely in play. At guard, Tyler Steen, I think, did a lot better than most people give him credit for. Landon Dickerson was banged up for most of the year, and that sucks. But the addition that goes under the radar is Willie Lampkin. You've heard me talk about him possibly, being a guard, being a center, providing, depth at both of those positions in competition that I'm excited to see. So we do have him. Holland Pierce was brought back. You lost Toth, who can play all the positions on the line. You brought in Majors, though, who can play center. You drafted Drew Kendall last year. We know Cam Jurgens was also banged up, but if he's healthy, feeling pretty good. I like Drew Kendall. He was one of the top fits for the Eagles last year on this show. So, I like what we've got going on, but I think you could definitely look to add and look to the future here. So what I'm doing now, we're going to change things up a little bit here. I'm going to start giving like the top at each position rather than going through every single person because we only break down a certain amount. It's not like I have the time to go through every single guy. So try to give you the top guys and the ones that are my fits and just make this a better show for you. So let's jump right into it. We're going to start it off with the centers. So you're getting the top 12 centers here. You can see where I have their projected rounds. And look, it's a crapshoot here with these centers. And I don't think there's really anyone with first round grade. And I don't even know if these guys go in the second or third or whatever, but just how I have it thrown up here. And I think there's definitely guys like Brailsford who really like his athleticism. Connor Liu, Jake Slaughter. I think that there's a lot of guys here. Logan Jones that you could find, with one of those later picks that you have, and maybe, add somebody that gets a year to learn, and God forbid anything happen to Jurgens. But again, I do like Drew Kendall. I do like Willie Lampkin, so I don't know that it's necessarily where we need to go. And then at the guard position, I've got the top 20 here, and man, I like a lot of these guys. I do, but I do like, again, what we have at guard, and that's Lampkin and Kendall, but Steen and Dickerson are still here. And, we're going to see what the Eagles decide to do with, some of the other players that they do have here. But, man, I think, guys like Pregnon, Bisontis, Nwanyu, Shrouth. There's, man, Bo Stevens and Ez Cooper, Micah Morris. I like Micah Morris a lot too. There's a lot of guys that I don't have here in my top fits that I wanted to. I could have made 50 graphics. I just don't have the time. I really like a lot of these guys, though, and we're going to talk about a couple of them coming up here. Jalen Farmer, another one I really like. But obviously, Vega Ione there, and I like him a lot. Big fan of him. And with the tackles, there's a couple of the guys at the top that I think some really good players. Don't know that are going to be available. But I think there's going to be ones that are, because it's a real crapshoot as to how teams are going to be looking at these guys and where they're going to take them. But I've got a lot of guys that I really, really like here, that even ones that we're not going to talk about in depth. Blake Miller, Jennings Dunker, Caleb Tiernan, man. I had Tiernan and was making a graphic, and then I wanted to cut it down to 9. I just had so many names, and I got to stop doing that. I don't like doing over 10. I try to keep it to 5, but certain positions, especially like this, we're going to talk about tackles, guards, and centers. So, Drew Shelton is there, Brian Parker, Carver Willis. I mean, there is a lot of players. Isaiah World is a guy that the Eagles have talked to. Demetrius Crownover. I like Emil Wagner a lot. He was another one that was on this list that didn't make the final cut. But, man, a lot of talent, as you can see, at tackle, guard, center. There's a lot of pieces. And, whether you feel which way or you need to go here, offensive line is always on the table. So let me know who you like, if you feel certain guys should be ahead or where you think they should be. But I'm going to get into my top 9 fits here. We're going to talk about centers, guards, tackles, and let's get it on. Starting us off here at number 9, at center, we got Jaeger Burton. And, of course, a name like that, people are already going to love him. And a 40 time like that, people like to look at those kind of things. And, okay, I get it. But this is a guy with some versatility that can play center and guard. And I like his pass blocking a lot more than I like his run blocking. And he's got a long way to go. But I think he could definitely be taken in the 5th, 6th rounds. I've seen people talk about undrafted. Okay, maybe. But I think when you've got the skill set that he does, people take a shot at the end of the rounds. I think he's got to work on that pass protection, though. I talk about him being better at that. That just goes to show you. I think he's got a lot of work. But I really like what his athletic build, his footwork is really what stood out to me. I'm always looking for certain things that don't need to be taught, right? Because he can be coached up on certain things, and he does have some good range for his size. He's 6'4", 312, guy that can play, guard, play center. I really like his game, and I think it's one of those things you take a shot on. Now, the one thing that sucks is you don't have Jeff Stoutland anymore, so you can't just say, hey, he can turn anybody around. But I am a big fan of Jaeger Burton here, and his RAS score was off the charts. I know he is definitely somebody that has impressed some people, and he's moving on up. But I am a big fan of him. Now, up next, we're going with the guard, and I think DJ Campbell. I haven't heard really anybody talking about him, but this is just kind of one of my depth pieces here. We're looking at the end of the draft, 5th, 6th rounds, where this is a guy that gave up 1 sack, 18 pressures, and I think this is someone that's strictly a guard, but I really, he's got the over 34-inch arms. He's 6'3", 313, so that's nice to see. He started 43 games in college at right guard, so predominantly played there. He could come in, compete with Steen. He's got some good leverage here, but one thing I don't like is, he's got some stiff hips. I think he could work on his hand usage. He's had a lot of penalties, so there's some things he could definitely work on, and that's why we're talking about him near the end of the draft, and that's just kind of what I'm looking for right now. This is a little bit of depth, and we'll get into some better guys, don't worry, but I like DJ Campbell, and I wouldn't be against it. Now, up next, I've got somebody the Eagles actually have brought in for a visit, and I think a lot of people like Markel Bell because of, just his size. He's 6'9", 346 pounds, and he actually moves pretty damn well, and he's a pretty good pass blocker for what he is able to do. I'm a big fan of this dude. He's got some damn good grip strength. I think he's got a great club move. He is somebody that could definitely work on his handwork. I think his run blocking definitely needs to be worked on. At that size, you can have that. And his footwork isn't always greatest. That's something I try to look for. But, man, it's hard not to like him at that size. The Eagles brought him in, and I know he's just a freak of nature. But, you bring someone in like him, and I think, 2nd, 3rd round might be high, but that's a size like that, people may be willing to take a shot on him. Just watching what he was able to do with Miami, I thought overall an impressive game, and I think a team will be willing to take a shot on him. I don't know if it'll be necessarily the Eagles, but if someone like him drops in the 4th round, that's where I'm looking if I'm the Eagles. I think that's where that would be a fit. Now, let's get into some of these top guys here. Now, unfortunately, I'm not going to be talking about the top few tackles because I think they'll be gone. But, Fano, one of my favorites in this draft, I think he'll be gone. I wanted to talk about him, but I was like, you know what? Let's talk about Caleb Lomu instead, the other tackle there at Utah. Now, while I'm making the show, the Eagles brought him in for a visit. So it was a sign. We got to definitely talk about this young man. And, if you're looking at PFF grades or whatever, he's not going to, stand out to be one of your best guys at tackle here in this draft. But to me, that's why you're looking at him, whether, at 23 or whatever you're moving back or forward or wherever you want to go here. I think this is the kind of kid that maybe even falls because of the really good tackles in this draft. Maybe people feel a certain way about other guys. So we'll see what happens. You never know. It's a crapshoot. But I really, really like this dude's explosiveness, his hand usage. He stays square. This is a guy that I think he's got the groundwork to be something special here. And, he's 6'6", 313. That's pretty damn good. But he's got to work on that run blocking, man. That's why that grade is so low. His arm length's a little people have talked about trying him at guard. I don't know. With watching his game, his hips, maybe he does have to play. I don't know, though. I think he can work at tackle, and I think it's somebody that I'd be willing to take a shot on, dude. I just think that he really looks like he could be something special. There's just something about his game. I know he struggles against the run, but I feel like with the right coaching, he's only 21. He just turned 21. I think the sky is the limit for this kid. And up next, I've got another tackle that might fall because of those other really good ones right in front of him. And rightfully so, man. Like I said, those tackles are no joke. You've got Mauioa, Fano, Proctor, and yeah, I just think there's going to be a lot of guys that could go. But Iheanacho here, this is somebody to me that the Eagles also visited with from Nigeria. This is a dude that's only going to continue getting better, and I am a real big fan of his game. Another 6'6" dude, 321. Maybe he falls in that 2nd round, but that second pick, you take a shot. A dude with a 4'9", 140 at 6'6", that's scary as hell. And, he's just got freakish athleticism for his size. But another guy that's going to have to work on the run blocking, and that's unfortunate. But this is why we're talking about these guys possibly dropping. But he's got 34.5-inch arms. This dude, he would work in this wide zone, I believe, that's coming our way. But you see 0 sacks on 14 pressures. I think this dude, ooh, baby, he is fun to watch. But he needs some coaching up. And that's what the draft is for. They're young guys that a lot of them, most of them need developing. And that's fine, dude. I think that to be in this offense, though, he would have to work on his second-level stuff, just certain things he does. I just feel, this is a guy, because of those things, could possibly fall. And that's why we're talking about the top fits, not the top players. You saw my rankings there. But I think he'd be great on the Eagles, and I'd be happy to have him. Now, up next, this is another tackle. Because there's so many, I don't know which one's going to fall. But I think, to me, Monroe Freeling, and for a lot of people, his test scores, his RAS score, like he is off the charts at 6'7", 315. It's kind of scary, dude. His hand's 10 3/4 inches. He's just, he's got a 33.5-inch vertical. This guy is a freak of nature. I really think he would be amazing. Another guy that has to work on his run blocking, but he is phenomenal in the pass game to a point where I don't care. And his athleticism at 22, like that's something I'm willing to take a shot on. The guy with the basketball background, like maybe he even turns into a tight end one day. No, I think he's going to be a great tackle. This dude, a lot of times, you look for those guys that, can do that. But I think he's somebody that really could one day, but he's going to be good at tackle. And I think, the length of, his arms isn't an issue where we talk about those other guys. This is 34 3/4 inch arms. This dude, he's got it all. But again, the struggles in the pass game, I think, are a little scary. He doesn't need, I think he has really good hand work. And we talk about, the footwork, but I think he's going to need some work. And that's somewhere like the Philadelphia Eagles where he could come and be part of the future and possibly Lane Johnson's replacement. I think Monroe Freeling would be that dude. But now we're going to switch it up to the top three, and we're kind of looking at interior guys, some guys that didn't play interior that I think could, but yeah, we'll get into it. But Freeling would probably be my top guy here at tackle, and not that there's other guys wouldn't be better, and I'll be jumping through the roof if, some of these dudes fall, but that's just how I had it playing out when I was making the show. Now, at number 3, and this would be my favorite pick if we could get him here with linemen. Oh, my God. Ione for the guards. Yes. Vega is a stud, and we've talked about it this offseason. I just really think that it's a no-brainer. Now, the only reason I think maybe he could fall, or maybe we trade up a couple picks if he is because he's a guard. Most of the time you're seeing the, prettier positions going, the quarterbacks, receivers, the edge guys, the, corners sometimes. And, the tackles are clearly going to go ahead. So a guy like him who is pretty much going to be a guard, and maybe you try him at center a little bit, but he's predominantly a guard, and that's fine. But I think that this is the kind of guy that has the full blend of what you're looking for. And I just think his pass protection is incredible. He would come in here and really help out. Jalen Hurts, you can see 0 sacks, only 4 pressures. He's a dude that knows how to set the anchor. He's his football awareness. I just think he's a tank, dude. 320 pounds. I think at one point he's like 330. We'll see what he comes into the NFL looking like. But, man, doesn't have a lot of penalties. We like that, right? But I honestly, watching his game, he's not the most premier athlete. So you're kind of getting – you see what you get here. But I think he's going to have to, get a little bit stronger, work on his run blocking, work on his hand usage, because he's just got to get better in any way he can. He doesn't have the pretty, 40 times and all that crazy. So he did have a pretty impressive vertical, though. I mean, he is a freak of nature. Don't get me wrong. I'm not sitting here saying he's just average. He just doesn't, blow it off the charts where, in any of these little stats they're looking at. When you watch his tape, dude's a mauler. He'll beat your ass. I think I'm just saying at the NFL level, you got to improve in these areas or you're going to get beat up. I think he'll be fine. And I'd love to have him, but don't know that he'll be there or we'll be able to get him. And I don't know that it's guard they're necessarily infatuated with here that they would trade up. So I don't know. But I'd love to have him. I think these other picks are just a little bit more realistic for me as to how I see the draft going. But again, we'll see. Now at number 2 here, I'm a big fan. And I think that this is a guy that is a tackle for sure, Trey Zune, but he plays guard too. And he can do a lot. And his athleticism, all the things you're looking at for him, he's got it all. The wingspan, he's got the vertical, the bench press, the broad jump. The dude's a beast, and he's athletic. He is, I think, the top graded pass blocking. It was like 96.3 or something. The PFF grade there, take that all with a grain of salt, but one of the best pass protectors in the league. I think his run blocking, again, needs some work here, but this is a dude with some good footwork. I like what he's got with his hands as well. I think he plays wide. He's somebody that, to me, could come in and start, but you wouldn't need to. And, you've got the ability to teach him multiple positions, and he can play them. Now, he does have some shorter arms, and that's why I'm talking about the guard there. And needing to work on that run blocking. That's why it'd be perfect for him to come here. Now, a 6'6", 312 guard, okay, bulk up a little bit, maybe, but if you watch him, I don't think he needs to. Like, he is, man, he's a big dude, a tough dude, and you put him at guard. We've obviously seen taller guards work out here. Mekhi Becton just did it. In the NFL, those things, it just depends on how you can do. Can you pull? Can you do things that I think we will do here? I think he can, but he's just going to need some good coaching here. Now he is 23 years old, going to be 24 here. So that's another concern. So to me, maybe he falls. And I think in that 3rd, 4th round, hell, if he falls past that, you got to take a shot on a guy like this that can help you at tackle, possibly play guard for you and compete there. I would not be against that at all. I'm a big fan of Trey Zune, the 3rd here. Let me know how you guys feel about the names we talked about. We're going to get into number 1 here. And this dude, to me, yeah, sign me up right away. Kalen Rutledge out of Georgia Tech here is a guy that I would be ecstatic to have. And He played guard, but he could play tackle, and he was also dabbling at center at the Senior Bowl and do it. I mean, this dude, he can do it all. And this is something, obviously, he's not going to just come in and start at these positions, but the versatility, that's what we like, right? He's only 6'4", 316, but he as a guard. So I don't want him to play tackle if he, God forbid, need to, or play a little swing tackle. Okay. We have Fred Johnson here, so he doesn't necessarily have to do that right away. And doesn't have the craziest of like measurements and all the other, but he has a good 40 time and vertical. He's athletic for his size, and he's got both good pass and run blocking. That's what I like to see. Dude's a mauler with his hands. I just think another one of those anchors, a dude that can take on those bull rushes, somebody that knows how to finish his blocks, man. And having that versatility, having the toughness, that dog in him that we talk about, that's somebody that's going to run you over. And I think that, he's got to definitely work on some of the choppy footwork I've seen, but I've seen things that I think can be coached up. And some of his body control, certain things at times are in question. I would not play him as a tackle, just going to say that to you. But I think that you can work on him, coach him up. I think that he is somebody that in the right system here with his athleticism, with, the size, it's perfect. To me, Kalen Rutledge, and if he's in that, like, if he goes to the third round, or maybe, God forbid, he's in that fourth round or something, all day, baby. Go watch him. He's awesome. I'm a big fan. That's the offensive line, man. We finally got to put out, but I'll have the special teams out for you, and then the defense will start next week. I'm going to drop the special teams tomorrow, so go check that one out. Kickers, punters, long snappers. We need to talk about them. So check that bad boy out. But that was the offensive line. I'd love to hear your thoughts, who your favorite guy is, who your top fit is, who you hope drops, who do you hope the Eagles maybe trade up for. Maybe there's a different position you have in mind. All of the offense is out now, so go check it out. Let me hear your thoughts on it. I'll have the defense out next week, and we'll be on to this draft here less than 2 weeks away. Oh, hell yeah. But I hope you're all having a great Saturday. If you enjoyed this video, do me a favor. Hit that like button down below. Share this video. Subscribe. Become a member. All the things you're doing here. Cannot thank you enough for all of the support. We got to get rolling here. So until next time, I am Jimmy Smith, and this is On the Road to Victory. You all stay safe out there. And as always, say it with me now, sickos. Go Birds!